be looking at chapter 8, Maths chapter 8, Money and Finance. Here we'll be looking at conversions, simple interest, compound interest, anything that has to do with money, bonuses, discount, anything that has to do with financial money in mathematics, in arithmetic. So here we're going to be looking at that. So we start with the first one, currency conversion. This is very important because we use this on daily basis. So let's take a look at how we convert money from one currency to another. For example, the first one is in 2017, 1 euro could be exchanged for 1.50 Australian dollar. So 1 euro is 1.5 Australian dollar. So how many Australian dollar will be bought for 400 euro? So what you do when you're doing this type of math, you first of all write the first logic. You say 1 euro, what they gave us to be 1 euro. 1 euro, we say is equal to that first unit value. We write it down. Is equals to 1.5 Australian dollars. A dollar. Australian dollar is $1. So 1.50 Australian dollar. So we write this one, 1.5 Australian dollar. Now, the next thing we do, if you like, you can just put euro here, put dollar on top, and then the one for euro you write here, and the one for dollar you write here. Let's choose another color, color that is more conspicuous. Okay, now it says how many Australian dollar can be bought for 400 euros. So 400 euro, I put it up within the side of euro. So I put euro here, 400. So we put 400 euro here. And then we don't know how much Australian dollar we're going to get from this 400 euro. We don't know how much Australian dollar we're going to get. So you say, since you don't know, you can call it X or you call it Y. X Australian dollar. So the next thing to do is to cross multiply. Next thing to do is to cross multiply. Cross multiply the value here to this way and the one here to this side. So if we multiply 1 times X, we're going to get X. 1 times anything, same as that thing. So we're going to get X Australian dollar equal to, or X equal to, you cross multiply 1.50 times 4. I think this will be 600, right? This will be 600. If you cross multiply, this will be 600, right? 1.5 times 400 will be 600, right? So it shows that because you are looking for the Australian dollar, the value of the Australian dollar, remember this is a dollar. The value of the Australian dollar will be equal to what? Will be equal to $600. This will be $600. The money will be 600 Australian dollar. So that's what you will get. Or you write the Australian dollar beside here. The money will be 600 Australian dollar. Okay? That's what you get when you have 400 euro. When you exchange the money, you get 600. Okay? That's for that. Now the second part of the question says, how much does it cost to buy 940 Australian dollar? Now you still come with this arrangement, okay? 1 euro, let's write euro here, we write euro here, and then we write Australian dollar here, a dollar here. Australian dollar, we write it here, and then remember 1 here is equal to 1.5. You always start with the unit amount, the basic unit amount. 1 euro equals to 150 Australian dollar, right? 1.50 Australian dollar. Now they say you have Australian dollar of about 940. Australian dollar of about 940. So I'll write it under Australian dollar. I'll write the 940 here, not the other side. Okay, 940 Australian dollar is equal to what? Is equal to, you can call it here Y or X, whatever you want to call it. You don't know how much euro it will be. So the next thing is to cross multiply as usual. So you say 1 times 1.5, you get 1.5y. So we can simply write 1.5y, 1.50. If you like, you write the 0, but in math is the same thing. 1.5y is equal to what? Is equal to, then you cross multiply this and this. 940 times 1 is 940. It's equals to 940. So it's equal to 940. So the next thing is for us to find y. Divide both sides by 1.5, you get the value of y. So your y is equal to 940 divided by 1.5. What do we get? 940 divided by 1.5. Okay, divide by 1.5. Divided by 1.5. We get what? We get 626.65 euro. we get 600. So if you take 940 Australian dollar and you want to convert it back to euro, you're going to get 626 0.67 euro. You get 626.67 euro. Okay, so that's what you're going to get. Okay, so this is how we do conversion. So I think this example that shows both sides, how you convert it from euro to dollar and dollar to euro, has already explained how money and finances work. So you can pause this video and try to solve all of this conversion and as it were. Okay, now let's go to earnings. People work and they earn income, they earn salary, they earn wages, they earn, they earn bonuses and so on and so forth. So what is earnings? Earnings is the net pay. Okay, a net pay. Okay, we start from a net pay. What do you get? Net pay is what is left after all the deductions from your salaries. When you're working every month, you earn salary, right? You earn salary monthly, or you earn wages. So when you earn your salary, before your company pays you, they're going to deduct your tax. There's a certain amount of tax you pay to government. Your company will deduct it and pay their money to the government. They will deduct your insurance. Company going to take insurance for you and your family. They will deduct the amount from your salary. They will deduct your pension. They will save this one for you till you retire. Okay, so they will deduct then they will deduct your pension contribution. Okay, what you earn first is your salary is called your gross earning. Your salary is your gross earning. When they deduct all of this, then what remains is called your net pay. It's called your take home or your net pay. Your first salary, if they tell you, for example, your monthly salary is going to be $5,000, that $5,000 is a gross earning. So, but at the end of the month, the company will deduct your tax. Maybe your tax for the month is $90. Your insurance for the month is $100. Your pension is also $100. Okay, let's say 100. That's 300. So at the end of the day, let's say there's another deduction. At the end of the day, you're going to go home with 4,000, maybe 4,000. Okay, your tax will be made way more than that. Let's say your tax is $500 if you're living in the West. Your tax is $500, which is 10% of your. Let's assume it's just a 10% of your salary of $5,000. That's $500, and then your insurance is $200, and your pension is $300. So every month your pension is $300. So at the end of the day, they're going to deduct what? How much? $1,000. If you add all of this, it's $1,000. So your salary is $5,000. So $5,000 minus $1,000, you see, this $5,000 is your gross earning. This is your gross earning. Okay, when they deduct your $1,000, this is called deduction. This $1,000 is called the deduction. So when they deduct your $1,000, which is all the deduction, then you get $4,000. You get $4,000. This $4,000 is your take home. This $4,000 is your take home. And this your take home is called the net pay. It's called what? The net pay. This $4,000 is your net pay. Okay, so that's that for that in business. Okay, this topic is called business mathematics. It's called business mathematics. Now, what is a bonus? A bonus is the extra payment sometimes that is added to your basic salary. Bonus. Sometimes, if the company makes a lot of profit, if your salary is your take home is $4,000 every month after the deduction, the company maybe they make a lot of profit, they are adding something to the staff. Maybe they might pay you $4,300. They give you an additional $300. That $300 they added to your take home, your net pay, that $300 that is added is called your bonus. It's called your bonus. So company give bonus because sometimes they make a lot of profit and they just want to show appreciation to the staff, to the employees. In many companies, there's a fixed number of expected hours you're supposed to work, fixed number of employees that works in the company. So they already know when they're making more or less. So they know what to give to you. Then there's another thing you earn in it. There's what they call the overtime. If you work from 8 to 5 p.m., 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., that's about, with 1 hour break, that's about, everything is 9 hours, but you're working for 8 hours because they give you 1 hour break in the office. Okay, so you work 8 hours. But there are some companies that allows overtime, especially manufacturing companies. They allow you to have overtime, meaning you can close 7 p.m., you can work additional 2 hours. You can work additional 2 hours. If you have the strength, you can have additional 2 hours to your work. So instead of closing 5 p.m., because actually why some people do this, they end up spending the 2 hours in the traffic. You know, everybody closes this time, and then the road is jammed. You spend you waste these 2 hours on traffic. So what some smart they use it to work overtime, and they close from office by 7 p.m. When you leave office by 7 p.m. or a few minutes past 7, the road is a bit freer in most cases, a bit freer for you to just drive home. So instead of wasting these 2 hours in the traffic, so people use it to do what we call the overtime. They get extra pay because every 1 hour you spend, they pay you maybe $50 or let's say $40. So if you earn $40 for extra 1 hour, so if you spend 2 hours, you'll get it $80 every day. $80 every day because you're doing overtime. $80 every day for doing overtime. So you can, in 5 days, you'll be getting what? In 5 days, which is 5 days in a week, you see you make extra how much in a week? You get extra 400. You get extra $400, right? In a month, you multiply this by 4, you get 1,600. Extra $1,600. So you use this one to offset the tax they took from you. Use this one to offset the tax and the deduction they took from you. So you'll be going back home with 5,600. You'll be going back home with 5,000 because you are doing extra 2 hours per day. So you see, this may be able to take care of you and your bills in most developed world. Okay, so this is what it is. Now, piecework is when they pay you per the number of work you do. Piece rate, piecework, they pay you per what you do. Okay, so that's that for this type of mathematics. If there's any question you can ask. Let's go to profit and loss. Profit and loss, you know, every business is set out to make profit, not the loss, but sometimes loss happens to business. Because when your selling price is bigger than your selling price is bigger than your cost price, you get profit, right? Because profit is selling price minus cost price. Selling price minus cost price. All these are business mathematics, okay? So if you're a business student, all these are supposed to be super easy for you. Profit is your selling price minus your cost price. Meaning, if you buy something as a business person, you buy something for $50. You buy something for $50 and you're selling it for $70. You're selling it for $70. So if you say 70 minus 50, meaning you make a profit of 20. But this 20 may not be the exact profit because there's what they call markups. There are also expenses you have to deduct from your business, like your rent, your this, your that. So every one good you sell, maybe you take $5 out or $10 out for all the rental bills, salaries for workers working with you. For every one goods you sell, you take that. So $10 will be your profit. Okay, so that's that for that. Profit and loss happens in a business, and your selling price, if it's bigger than your cost price, usually you make profit. But when your selling price is smaller than your cost price, then you're going to make a loss. Now let's take a look at an example. A market trader buys oranges in boxes of 12 dozens, and for $40.40 per box. One box is $40.40. Now so for 12 boxes, you take 12 to multiply this amount. He buys 3 boxes and sell all the orange 12 cents each. What is the profit or loss that he made? So how many oranges are in one box? First of all, he buys 3 boxes. Let's know how much he spent in buying the 3 boxes. The cost price is 3 times the amount for one box, which is $43.40. This is the amount she spent in buying 3 boxes. Now, the selling price, remember he's selling at 12 cents. The selling price will be 3 times, if you multiply this by 100, it will be 144, right? 1440. I think there's 0 here. Then times 12 cents. Then you get this. So his selling price will be $51.84, right? So if he sells this at $51.84, then he would have made a profit. If you want to look for profit, you say this selling price minus this cost price, which will give you about $8.64. That would be the profit. Is that okay? Okay, so that's done for that. Let's do for a proper example. In a sale like you go right now in December, there are a lot of sales. There's Black Friday, you go anywhere, you can buy things on sales. Okay, in a sale, a shirt usually costs $35. A shirt that usually costs $35 is sold at 50% discount. What is the discount? Well, meaning they're asking for the discount amount. So you will find 50% and multiply by this 35, okay? So you say 50% times 35. 50% means 0. If you change to decimal, is 0.15. So 50%, to change it to decimal, you say 50 divided by 100. 50 divided by 100 gives us 0.15. 0.15 is this discount, sales discount. So you use it to multiply the amount 35. The amount of the shirt is 35. So 0.15 times 35, that will give us 5.25. So the discount that is given for the shirt is 5.25. Then the B part of the question could be, how much did you pay for the shirt? How much? To know how much you pay for the shirt, you say $35, which is the original price of the shirt, minus the 5.25, minus the 5.25. You get 29.75, right? You get 29. This will give you 29.75. Okay, so because they give you 50%, you're going to pay 29.75. This is how much you're going to This is how much you're going to pay for the shirt instead of paying $35. Okay, so during sales time is a good time to buy. Okay, what you can buy the clothes you need for a whole year, every sales period like December period. So you can pause the video here, look at all these questions and try to solve them. Is that okay? Now let's go to percentage profit and loss. Percentage profit. You know, after you've made profit, you have to find the percentage. After we've made profit or loss, we should know how to calculate the percentage. Percentage profit or loss is loss over the cost price times 100. For profit is profit. If you're looking for percentage profit, will be calculated. So I use P, okay? Percentage profit, I say profit or PRO. Profit is the profit you made over the cost price CP. Cost price is CP. Over the CP multiplied by 100. This is the formula for calculating percentage profit. Multiplied by 100. We're going to take a look at an example right now. Okay, let's take a look at this example. A woman buys, and for loss is same. Percentage loss, you say, is equal to the loss over CP times 100. You say the loss over the CP times 100. Now, a woman buys a car for $7,500 and sells it 2 years later. Of course, when it's 2 years later, it's now second-hand car, so the value will reduce. Sells it 2 years later for $4,500. Calculate her loss over the 2 years as a percentage of the cost price. Okay, we want to calculate her loss. First of all, your cost price is bigger than your cost price because you bought the car for $7,500. So your cost price is bigger than your sales price. So your cost price is $7,500. This is how much the woman bought the car, $7,500. Now 2 years later, she sold it cheaper because now it's a second-hand car. So 2 years later, anything that depreciates, you're going to get loss. Okay, like cars. If you buy a car this year, you want to sell it 2 years later, you definitely go to sell it cheaper than how much you bought it, except you cheated the people who don't know. So here becomes, she sold it for $4,500. She sold it for $4,500. Now, what is the percentage loss she made? What's the loss she made? Now, percentage loss is equal to the loss. Percentage loss is equal to the loss. Percentage loss is equal to loss. So for loss, I'll just write L, okay? Loss over the cost price. The cost price, how much she bought the car, times 100. Okay, this is the formula for calculating percentage loss. So the loss will be what? You calculate the loss. Loss is 7,500 minus 4,500. That's 3,000. So the loss is 3,000. So I write 3,000 over the cost price, which is 7,500. Over the cost price, the amount she bought the car, which is 7,500, multiply by 100% because we are looking for percentage lost. Why are we multiply by 100? Because we are doing percentage lost, not just lost. If you are doing just lost, you don't need to multiply by 100. So when we do this and we multiply by 100, I think this will give us, these two zeros cancels this 2 0. 5 goes to 30, you get 6. 5 goes here, 5 goes to 7, you get 1. 5 goes to 25, you get 5. So you get 6 over 50. Okay. 3 go here, you get 2. 3 go here, you get 5. 5 goes into 100, you get 20. 20 times this 2 here, you get 40. So our answer is equal to 40%. So the percentage loss, she lost 40% of her car, the value of her car. She lost 40% of how much she bought the car. Okay, so at this junction, you pause the video and solve all of these questions. Okay, all the percentage loss and percentage profit. Remember, if you're looking for percentage loss, is the loss over the cost price times 100. If you're looking for percentage profit, is the profit over the cost price multiplied by 100. Now let's go to interest. Interest is riba, you know, right? So it's for Muslims, it's riba. They are not allowed to deal on interest. But for the conventional banking system and the conventional financial institutions, they deal on interest. So we just study it to know, to have the knowledge, how it's being calculated, what it is, and what is being calculated. So we first of all, we define interest as the money added by the bank to the sum of money that you give to them, the money you deposit for. You know, when you give the bank money, they use the money to trade, they use it to do business, they borrow other people, they borrow businessmen. The money you are saving in the bank is not actually sitting down in the bank. Okay, as a former banker, the money you save in the bank don't keep it. Don't think the bank is keeping it. You come, you put it there, the bank keep it. Any day you want, you come, you take it. No, it's not. It doesn't work that way. The money you give to bank led it to business people. That's why the rich will be getting richer. Those guys will be richer. You will be poorer. You act like you're saving money. They don't save. The rich people don't save money. They borrow all the money by the poor people. They put it in their business to make huge factory. They use the money to make huge factory. They produce the goods and they sell the goods to you. Now, how did the bank get the money back? Like every time you want to withdraw money, you still get money to withdraw. This is the trick. The business guy sells the goods. He's putting the money back to the bank. Right? You know, every customer pays. They pay to the company's account. So when the money goes to the pocket, the bank still have the money. So they come again. They take the one you have saved again to go and improve and expand their factory, and they get richer and richer. You get poorer and poorer and poorer because you don't know how to use money to work for yourself. The rich people don't buy anything with their money. They don't even build their house with their money. They don't buy car with their money. They don't do anything with their money. They take the money from all those sources because they know they have a huge factory. The factory will be paying monthly because it's like paying one staff salary. To them, it's like they just have additional staff. For example, if they have 20 staff, they just add in their balance sheet that they have 21 staff. So that additional cost, they just use it to offset their monthly payment, their monthly luggage for house and for car. So they don't buy anything. Poor people, we save up money, we build house. The rich people, they don't. They just take mortgage and so. But it's riba for us. From Islam, I think they also have a system to solve this. Maybe Islamic banks, they are there to also lend, but in their case, it's profit and profit sharing mechanism, not interest. Okay, and profit and loss sharing. That's what the Islam preaches. Okay, now here in this regard, let's just have the knowledge of how to calculate the interest, both the simple interest and the compound interest. Let's know how it works. Now, simple interest, the interest is the money the bank will add to you. You know, when you save money with the bank, because the bank lent the money to the businessman and maybe at 3% interest rate, when the businessman is paying back the loan, maybe at 3%. That 3%, the bank may give you 0.5%. The bank may take 2.5%, for example. So that's the small money they add to your money. So if you keep $10,000 If you keep $10,000, then for how long, we don't know, depending on how long you kept it. Then they will add maybe even 0.1%. They don't even give you 0.5%. They give you 0.1%. And then you are happy with money added. After like 6 months, you see your $10,000 become 10,005. Let's say 10,000 and 10,000. Okay, let's say 10,020. Only $20 is added to it. You are happy. Oh, you're happy. Only $20. You know what the rich man will do? This 10,000, he will use it to go to China, buy goods, come and sell. In 6 months, the money would have been $100,000. Poor people, they will save this money. They will only earn $20 or $50. Okay, maximum. Let's say $50. $50 in 6 months. $50, meaning like around $8 per month. So they will get like around $50 for 6 months after keeping $10,000 in the bank. So, if you want to be wealthy, you save to have capital to start a business. You don't save because you want to have money in the bank account. Nobody cares about bank account. Think of this: all the billionaires in the past, there was no bank. All the billionaires before the commercial bank started, there were no banks, but they were still billionaires in the world. Since the world started, we've had billionaires. You ask yourself, were they keeping money in the bank? No. They're not keeping money in the bank. So what you should learn to do is to learn how to use money to work for you. So when you save, yes. Does it mean we should not save? No, that's not what I'm saying. Save money, and the money you save, you use it to invest. You should think of saving to invest, not save it because you want to have fat bank account. You want your bank account to be swollen, and you will be bragging you have a lot of money. I have $100,000 in the bank account. When inflation comes, it kills all the money. Inflation, you know what is inflation? The value of the money will drop. You still have $10,000. If US dollar drops, for example, $10,000 that can buy you a car, a this, a that. If inflation kills it, it can no longer buy even a bicycle. So when you save money, after 10 years, when inflation happens to that currency, you lost it. But if you put the money in real estate, like house, the value keep appreciating. If you build a house, the value keep appreciating. Every time, 10 years time, if you want to sell your house, you'll be richer. You'll be richer than you were before. But if you keep that same amount you used to build the house, in the bank, 10 years time, you'll be poorer. Okay, that's the trick. Let's move on now. Now we have two types of interest at this level, simple interest and compound interest. Simple interest is simply calculated by saying simple interest SI. S is simple, I is the interest. Simple interest is simply calculated by saying principal, the money you keep in the bank, or the money you borrow from the bank, or the money you save in the bank is called the principal. It's the principal times the time, how long you let it be in the bank, or how long the bank lent it to you, times the time, times the rate. What rate they used to calculate the interest is called the rate. Okay? The percentage they used to calculate the interest is called the rate. Okay? The rate is always expressed in percentage. That's why we say over 100. Anything rate is expressed in percentage. So that's why we put over 100. So you'll be wondering why is there over 100 in the formula? Because the rate is a percent, arrow percent. That's what it's about. So this is this formula for calculating batteries. This is the formula for calculating simple interest. Now let's start. So let's start with the first question. Let's start with the first question. Okay, let's start with the first question. The first question says, find the simple interest earned on $250 deposited for 6 years at 8% per annum. At 8% per annum. Now let's take a look at this question. So everything is been given. We just break it down. We break it down and we put the values. We know that our simple interest is principal times rate over 100. Now, what is the principal? Is it find the simple interest earned on 250 deposited. So this is the principal. 250 is the principal. The time is 6 years. This is the time. And the rate is 8%. Rate is 8%. So we're going to take these three parameters and slot them in the formula. We take them and slot them. So principal you say simple interest is principal times rate over 100. So we simply say the SI, which is simple interest, equals to the principal, which is 250, multiplied by the time, which is 6 years, multiplied by the rate, which is 8%. Now here we write 8%. Here we write 8 over 100 because it's already over 100. So no need to change this one to decimal. So you just say 8 over 100. So when you, this 0 cancel this 0, okay, and then 5 can go here, 2, 5 can go into 25, 5. So when you cancel out everything, we get what? We get 120 as your simple interest, as your interest, okay? Now, what does, every time in this chapter we say per annum. Per annum means, it stands for per annum, which means each year. Per annum means every year, okay? Now, let's take a look at the second question. In the first question, they want us to calculate the simple interest. Second question, probably they want us to calculate something different. How long will it take for a sum of $250 invested at 8% to earn an interest of 80? Here they've given us the interest. This is the simple interest. So we are not going to calculate the simple interest. Here they've told us what the interest is. They've given us the rate. They've given us the rate. They've given us the principal. They've given us the principal. Okay. So they are asking how long. How long means the time. How long means the time. So we don't know the time. Here we're going to make the time the subject. So you say, remember SI, simple interest, is equal to principal times time times rate. Principal times time times rate over 100. Okay, so we're going to make time the subject. To make time the subject is to first of all cross multiply this. So if I cross multiply the simple interest and the 100, I'll get 100 SI, 100 times simple interest is equal to PT arrow. It's equals to PT arrow. So since I'm looking for time, I'll divide both sides by P arrow. Since I'm looking for time, I want to make time the subject, I'll divide both sides by P arrow so that time will remain on the right. So I divide here by P arrow. Okay, that's P arrow, which is principal times rate. Divide here by it. Also divide this side by P arrow. Okay, the P arrow on the left, on the right, we cancel the P arrow on top. The numerator P arrow and the denominator, they will cancel each other. So time remains. So time is 100 times the interest divided by principal times rate. So what you get is the 100 times the interest times the interest. The interest was what? 80. So 100 times 80 all over. The principal is 250 and the rate is 8. 250 and the rate is 8. So when we do times 8, when you do your cancellation, then we eventually will get the T equal to what? T equal to 4 years, right? T equal to 4 years. Okay, so that's that. The second question, the third question will ask us for something different. The third question says, what rate per year must be paid for a principal of 750? Now the principal is what? 750. He said, what rate per year must be paid for a principal of 750 to earn an interest of 180? So the simple interest is 180 in this regard. In 4 years, time is given here. But here they want us to make rate the subject. So in making rate the subject, it's going to have a similitude like this. So instead of dividing P arrow, divide with PT. So our rate formula will be equal to 100 SI. Our rate formula will be 100 times simple interest all over the principal times time. Okay, so you slot it to this formula. You get your 100 SR, 100 times the simple interest. What is our simple interest? 180. So multiply by 180. Multiply by 180. Divide by the principal, which is 750. Divide by the principal, which is 750. times the time, which is 4 years. Times the time, which is 4 years. So when we divide, we get our rate of 6%. We get our rate to be 6%. Is that okay? We get 6. Is that okay? So we write our. Now the third one, this time around, they will not give us the principal. So you see, we've solved for interest, we solved for time, we solved for rate. Now probably we want to solve for principal. We solved for simple interest, we solved for time, we solved for rate. Now we want to calculate for principal. Find the principal which we earn interest of 120. So the interest is given to us, simple interest, $120 in 6 years at 4%. So time is 6. This is time, and the rate is 4%. So to make the principal, in this case, you also make the principal the subject. Okay, instead of dividing by P, you divide by TR. Principal will be, so it will be similitude like this. So P, it will have a similitude like the first, the second, and the third one. So P will be 100 SI. 100 SI. SI means 100 times SI all over rate times time. Rate times time. Over rate times time. So if we slot in our values here, we get 100 times the simple interest, which is 120 in this regard, times 120 all over the rate is 4%, so you put 4 here, times what is the time? The time is 6 years, so times 6. So if you multiply this, you get 24. We get 24. So let's simplify. 6 go here. Here will be 20, right? 6 go here is 2. That here will be 20. 4 go into 4 1. 4 go into 20. We get 5. So 5 times 100, you get 500. So the principal will be $500. So the money they invested was $500. That yielded the interest of 120 was $500. Is that okay? So the principal was $500. Okay, so that's that. You have to pause. You pause this video at this junction and try to solve all of these questions. Okay, try to solve. Now we move on to the next one, which is the compound interest. The compound interest is even a more dangerous interest. They compound you annually. You know, in simple interest, they just take the interest once in 6 years, once in 4 years, once in they just calculate with the year one time only. Compound interest, even if they give you the loan for 10 years, but they will do the compound yearly. They will be doing the interest yearly, and the interest they will add it to the principal of the second year. So the principal of the first year and the interest of the first year, they will take the interest of the first year and add it to the principal of the second year to form the principal of the first year to form the principal of the second year. So you see the principal get bigger, then the interest for second year gets bigger. They will take the interest for second year, add it to the principal of second year. The third year, it will form the third year principal, which will now be bigger. So it will be compounded. That's why they call it compound interest. To be compounding. Okay, it's a more terrific interest. It's not a good one at all. The compound interest is too unbearable. Now let's take a look at it. Means compound interest means the interest that is paid not only on the principal amount but also on the interest itself. Yes, like I said, you pay the compound interest not only on the principal, you pay it on the interest itself. This is what the bank is using. This is what most companies are using when they give you loan. Okay, they're doing compound interest. So you're paying interest on interest. Not only you're paying interest on the principal you borrowed, you're also paying interest on interest. Okay, so any company like all this water company, all this don't owe them, electricity company. When you're owing them, you're paying interest not only on the amount you're owing them, you're paying interest on the interest. So your money will be growing geometrically, exponentially. Your debt will be growing exponentially. Okay, the reason for all this is to keep people down. So if you want to save yourself, minimize debt, the money you borrow from organization. Okay, now let's take a look at this. So in compound interest, the easiest way is to follow the formula. The formula for compound interest is amount is equal to principal, the amount you borrow or the amount you deposited, principal into 1 plus the rate. This rate, this time around, we change it to decimal, okay, because there's no over 100. 1 plus the rate raised to power number of years, n, number of years. N is same as time. You can say raised to power t. It's the same thing. Okay, this is for exponential increase. If your compound interest, this is the usual compound interest, the one they take from you. But sometimes we have a minus if something is depreciating. This is for something that is appreciating. Okay, this is for something that is appreciating. But if something is depreciating, like the value of your car, okay, anything that depreciates, the compound interest formula will automatically become P into 1 minus R raised to power n for anything that depreciates. Okay, for anything you have that depreciates. Is that okay? But usually, this is the one you most of the time. This one we use for a decreasing population also. A decreasing population, a decreasing forest, number of trees in the forest. We use the -1. But if something is appreciated or increasing, we use this first formula for the compound interest. And we use compound interest formula to calculate a lot of things that have exponential growth. A lot of things that has exponential growth or exponential decline, like the population of the Westerners. Okay, their population is declining fast. So we use this second one to calculate their population decline. Okay, the rate of their population decline. Okay, so that's that for compound interest. Okay, for compound interest, if you want to get the first, if you borrow, let's say you borrow $500,000 or £500,000 or 500,000 euro irrespective of the currency, and they're giving you 10%. They're giving you 10% compound interest. They give you 10% per annum. That's the rate. If you want to know what you get the next year, you go to add this 10% to 100%. The amount you borrowed, the amount you deposited, is already 100%. If they give you $500,000, that's already 100%. Any amount given to you or you deposited is already 100%. So if they give you a rate of 10%, your rate will now be 110. You say 100 plus. You say 100 plus 10. 100 plus 10. That gives you 110. 100 plus 10, that gives you 110. So if you change to a multiplier, this will be 110, okay? If you change it to a multiplier means change it to decimal. This is 110%. If you change it to decimal, or what you call the multiplier, okay, to know how much you're going to pay at the end of the year, or compound interest at the end of the first year, this will become 1.1. This will become 1.1. This 110, you change to multiplier, will become 1.1. Will become 1.1. Is that okay? So we have 1.1 multiplied by 500,000 you borrow, $500,000 or 500,000 euro, irrespective of any amount you borrow. You multiply by that amount, you get what you're going to pay at the end of the first year. You'll be paying $550,000. Okay, just in 1 year. At the end of the first year, you're going to pay this is your debt. You borrow $500,000, your debt is now $550,000. Okay, then this 550 will be the principal of your second year, not this 500,000 you borrow. That's why compound interest is very dangerous. This 550 is now your second year principal. So you got to do another times 1.1 again, times 550 times 1.1. You're going to get a bigger amount than this, and that will be over 600. I think it will be $605,000. That will be around $605,000. Just after 2 years, you borrow $500,000. Your debt is now $105,000. Okay, just after 2 years, you pay additional $105,000. So for compound interest, it's dangerous to borrow money with compound interest. Okay, so this is what it is. First year, second, you keep multiplying. You keep multiplying $500,000. If you do again for third year, your debt will be $665,500. If you for third year, because you keep multiplying by 1.1, you keep multiplying by 1.1. Your debt at the end of the third year will be $665,500. So you can imagine after 5 years what your debt will become. So they can ask you, which year will your debt double? Which year will it double? Okay, since you see we keep multiplying by 1.1, so if for first year we say 1.1 raised to power 1, which is same as 1.1. Okay, for second year we say 1.1 raised to power 2, because it's raised to power n, number of years. For third year you say 1.1 raised to power 3. For fourth year is 1.1 raised to power 4. So that's how this thing came about in this formula. 1.1 raised to power 4, 1.1 raised to power 4 for fourth year. Now that's how, this formula, the compound interest formula, A is equal to P, the principal, into 1 plus the rate, whatever rate they gave you, raised to power n. This is how it came about. This one means 100. This one means 100. If you change it to multiplier, 100 divided by 100 is 1. 100% divided by 100, 100% divided by 100 is 1. That's how we got this one. Okay? Remember I say 100% plus 10%. That's what we said. 100% is the money they gave you. The 10% is the rate at which they lend you the money. Is your rate. Okay? This whole thing inside the bracket represent this concept. This one is the 100%. This 10% is why you are adding 0. 10% is 0.1, right? So 0, if you change to multiplier, 0.1 plus 1 plus this one, you get 1.1. That's how we got our 1.1. That's how we got it. This is what gave us the 1.1. So 1.1 raised to power n. N is the number of years. For first year is 1.1 raised to power 1. For second year is 1.1 raised to power 2. For third year is 1.1 raised to power 3. For fourth year is 1.1 raised to power 4. Okay? So that's how we came about this. So let's take a look at this question. You say, how long will it take a debt? A debt is the money you are owing, right? How long will it take a debt? Okay. You say, how long will it take a debt to double at a compound rate of 27%? Okay, we don't know the debt. We can call the debt P. You can call it anything. How long will you call the debt P? Let's say you borrow a certain amount called principal. Call the debt P. How long will it take it to double? Okay, for first year, the rate is what? 27%. So 27% plus 100% is 127, right? 100% plus 27 is 127, which gives us 127. If you change to multiplier, it becomes what? It becomes 1.27, right? So this is the rate we'll be using, 1.27. Now you'll be wondering how we got 1.27 because of the formula. Look at the formula. We said this 100% represent 1. Or you say 1 plus 0.27. 1 plus 0.27. Even if you do it like this, 1 plus 0.27. Because 27% means 0.27 if you change to decimal, if you change to multiplier. 0.27. Meaning 27 divided by 100. That's what gave you this. So if you add 1, it becomes 1.27. It becomes 1.27. Now how long it took the money to double? First year, it will be 1.27 raised to power 1. First year will be 1.27 raised to power 1 times P. The P is the amount. We just call it P because they didn't tell us how much it is. So for first year, you get 1.27 raised to power 1 P. This is what you get for first year. For second year, you have to square this number. So second year, you say 1.27 because n is now 2. You remember, n is the power. N is 2. 1.27 p raised to power 2 for second year. P. You put the p. For third, if you square this value, you will get what? You will get 1 point. If you square the value, you get 1.61. So this has not doubled. Double means when this value changed to 2. Double means if they say triple, when the values change to 3. So we do for third year. So you say 1 point, how long? We want to know how many years it took. You say you do for another year, 1.27 raised to power 3 p. 1.27 raised to power 3 p will be equal to what? Now if you take your calculator, 1.27 to the power of 3, you get what? You get 2.05. You get 2.05. So in the third year, the money will double. 2.05, the money must have it has doubled. So you say it took 3 years, because they ask you how long it took for the money to double. It took 3 years for whatever you borrowed to have doubled. Meaning, if you have borrowed $1 million, after 3 years you'll be paying the bank $2 million at the rate of 27%. You see, it's not sustainable. You're going to crash. If you're a businessman, you will not go for this type of loan, because you're going to crash. It's too much. The rate is too much. Is that okay? Okay, so that's for money and finance, and then this for compound interest. Let's take a real life problem where we can use the formula. Let's take an example where we can find the compound interest paid on a loan of 600 for 3 years at annual rate of 5%. Okay, so let's solve this one using the formula. I told you there are 2 ways. Either you do it mechanically, or you do it manually, or you do it using the formula. But the formula is the fast way. So you say the amount, let's use the amount formula. Amount is equal to the principal into, you put a bracket. You must know formula in maths and physics. 1 plus r. Okay, if you don't know how to write formula, you will not pass any of this maths or physics exam. So be familiar with formulas. So this is the formula for compound interest. And we know the principal is 600, so let's calculate the amount. They say find the compound. Remember, they say we should find the compound interest. Compound interest, when we calculate the amount, then we can calculate the compound interest. Compound interest is equal to, this is the formula for compound interest, the amount you calculate, or the amount we are about to calculate minus the principal. Amount minus the principal will give us the compound interest. Okay, these are the 2 equations you need for this compound interest. These are the 2 equations you need. The 2 basic equations you need. Okay, there's a third equation which is minus here, where we are for exponential decrease. We already have. Okay, there are 3 equations, but these are the ones that are very popular. Now we let's calculate the amount, because if you don't know the amount, you cannot calculate the compound interest. So amount is equal to the principal, which is $600. $600 into 1 plus, what's the rate? The rate is 5. So I'll change this one to decimal. 5 divided by 100, I'll get 0.05. So I write here 1 plus this one. I write this one. I reproduce this one. 1 plus 0.05. 0.05. Raised to power number of years. How many years? 3 years. The loan is 3 years. So we write 3 years here. Remember, this is equal to amount. This is equal to amount. This is equal to amount. Now we go to simplify. We write 600 into, you add this and this together, you get 1.05. You get 1.05. When you add them together, you get 1.05, which is the new multiplier, raised to power 3. So you go to raise this value. You don't multiply this with 600. You have to raise this value to 3 first. You have to raise this value to 3. You have to raise this value to 3, right? You raise it to power 3. So when we raise this multiplier to power 3, what are we going to get? When we raise it to power 3, what do we get? Okay? Something is offline now. Let's use the opportunity to calculate. So we say 1.05 raised to power 3, we get 1. Raised to power 3, we get what? We get 1.1 1.15 Okay, we may not write all the number. 1.157625. Okay, 7625. So you're going to take this value and multiply it with 600. Take this value, multiply it with 600. We know what we get. This value multiplied by 600, what do we get? If you multiply by 600, you get 694.575. So we get 694.58. We approximate to 2 decimal places. Instead of 575, we say $58. Remember, this is not what they say we should look for. We just calculated the compound interest. We just calculated the amount. Now remember, they asked us to calculate the compound interest. Compound interest is the amount minus principal. The amount is equal to amount minus the principal. Amount minus the principal. So in this regard, we say 694.58 minus 600. That will get 94.58, right? Minus 600. That will give us minus 600. This will give us $94.58. So this is the interest. This is the interest that will be payable on $600 after 3 years. Okay, so that's that for that. This is how to calculate compound interest. So I think with this we've come to the end of our today's class. You pause this video and solve all the questions. Student assessment 1, solve all the questions you see here, okay, for you to get better. Okay, in studies, this student assessment 2, pause this video and solve all of these questions. So with this we've come to the end of our class. Thank you for joining us.